compelling though for Revenant XSPARK. Also, those votes look nice. Almost 80% going towards that Southeast Asian roster. We keep mentioning how well they did at LCQ. They had 2 showings at LAN events this year already. At Brawl Cup, it did not look as good. And the last time we saw them there, they struggled against Elevate, another NA team.
I just want to say here for SSG very quickly, their best game mode is Bounty. We're starting on Layer Cake, but when I say best, they have a 50.8% win rate on the game type. That's their best in the last couple of months, the lead up to this tournament. So they have struggled against these other teams representing at Worlds, whereas Revenant XSPARK generally feel quite confident on this game type. We'll see the Gene already locked up here to start draft.
Yeah, I like that Gene pick. It's nice, diverse. It's pretty solid no matter what you can play it. The majority of maps and modes, but Willow going to come in as well. Just in case they bring in some aggression, I'm sure they've got the meeple already, so that ability to walk through walls will be coming at some point, and they're going to have to be pretty defensive in that situation as well. But yeah, Willow, very good against the aggression that's going to be coming in. It's the best thrower to be able to deal with tanks. So yet again, nice, versatile, diverse pick. Having the Gene to be able to pull stuff in, Willow, solid against those tanks. And
so interesting to me that Gene even was left open here. SSG has the first pick and still decide to go with meeple. It's a strat you can go with, together with a Hank, maybe a thrower. Meeple does a lot just because of the gadget alone. Now also with a new hypercharge, but still, leaving Gene open and then even getting it onto your side is going to be huge for Revenant XSPARK. They have a thrower themselves. Willow, not something we see often on Bounty. I would have seen a tick, a Juju, of course, banned out here, but a tick maybe a bit more often. But I do like that Gene on the side of Revenant XSPARK. I wonder if somebody's going to bring in some more aggression still. A lot of those are banned out though. Kaze, Ellie, and Ollie are usually the ones you want to pick here.
It's really hard to play aggressively into this Willow, I think, because otherwise your brawler who's trying to dive gets turned back on you and you end up giving up a ton of map control. I also think tick into the Gene, right? Being able to throw out the head here to, eat a potential pull is pretty powerful. This is the kind of map that for Bounty is uniquely favorable to throwers because of the, the sort of layers or walls. And I do think meeple is a primary, go-to for a lot of these teams. Look to Sands to be the one on SSG who's playing a lot of the more technical brawlers or the ones that really need to carry. He's actually played a lot of the meeple alongside with Ollie and Shade. So definitely a centerpiece player for SSG. The guy's really hungry to prove himself. He kind of wants to achieve everything possible in Brawlstars. He's really very driven. But for SSG, this might be their last chance to make an impact on 2025.
It really could. I mean, it's so surprising to see both teams of this caliber being in this position so early through the competition. Possibility of, well, definitely one of these is going to be going out in day one here. So really difficult position for both teams. Revenant take a quick 3-0 loss to SK Gaming, so have a lot to prove in this one. And SSG, unlikely loss against Novo Esports. They're going to go with the breaks, though. Obviously, the Brock coming in, so want to try and get rid of the walls that the meeple's going to be using. And the same with the tick.
Bobby, though, gets that blue star off the back of a Mantis of meeple, immediately thrown at the middle of the map. Zan's going to be operating the side lanes here, and you'll see Chino just try and canvas the map with as many of these mines as possible. Response wants to disrespect the tick. Obviously, at times can be outranged in that thrower matchup, so wants to get close if at all possible, where you already have a super developed for Chino. A lot of good chip damage being done by the tick. Gonna be a little tricky for Bobby, though, to duel out with Sergeant at length. He's outranged by the Brock, and like you mentioned, that wall break will come in handy.
Yeah, going to be super hard. They're pretty much going to be focusing down on this Otis, trying to beat him down at range. The same with the Willow as well. Fast Splatter comes down, Sergeant gets the super, just about clips it on the edge. But a tick shot, oh, he's just managed to avoid it. He's in the middle of 3 mines, though, and will go down nonetheless. Nice stuff from SSG, but instantly flipped back with the rocket fuel from Sergeant, and he's looking to secure another.
Yeah, you've got to respect the Brock here. Sergeant has been hitting some beautiful taps on SSG, and they don't have anyone to match the range of that sharpshooter. And in the background, Jay is slowly starting to build towards a magic hand should it be required. So Revenant XSPARK can play both offense and more defensively and fall back across the map a little further. Chino had that head first, but wants to keep response quiet as per usual. Sergeant actually lane swaps away from the tick here, tries to make sure he gets to bully Bobby as much as possible, and it's worked a treat. Bobby's low, but the pinch is good on Sergeant. That's the magic hand, though, and Jay's able to finish off Stance.
Only just as well, though. The Otis damage almost came through, and he almost got the kill. But it is just one now. They still need to try and secure another. The box comes down with the Meeple's Mansion. Can't quite get down that side. But Response flanking the right. Wants to get the shots in. There's the mute onto Sergeant as well. Beautiful. Rocket Rain. Perfect from Sands, but eventually we'll be able to throw it down. But the kills are there for SSG and not for Revenant. the desired start for the North American side, and Southeast Asia still not able to get much done.
It's a really nice start for SSG, and one of the big issues there for Revenant XSPARK is that Sergeant Clash is holding so many stars. He's the one that's getting most of these early picks, but it means that if he gets taken down, SSG almost get a 2-for-1 in terms of that star value. That's what puts them in the lead. And if they can simply trade patiently like that after taking that early blue star advantage, they'll be in good shape.
Well, blue star back in SSG's hands once again, and Response looking for a bit of a different game this time in terms of facing off against this Tick. Needs to do slightly better to really get better value out of this Willow, because didn't see her do too much at all throughout the previous one. Bobby was putting a good performance in against the Sergeant at points, getting kills and flipping those stars around. But X9J down this right-hand side wants to work for this magic hand just that little bit earlier this time.
It's impossible to deny Jay value from that diagonal. He's going to be able to build up super. Gene does not do a lot of damage, but as time goes on, you are going to work your way towards that important magic hand. Here's a head first, in theory, to open up some map control. It's going to be cleared, fortunately for Sergeant, but it does allow SSG back into the map. Chino needs to keep a close eye on his health bar. That well-oiled star power is going to help him shrug off a lot of this poke damage, but Response is starting to play the aggressor on the left side.
Absolutely, he's having a much better game. Here's the Rocket Rain, but he sends it right of both Bobby and Sans in the back lines. Chino just trying to do what he can to keep Response back, but his ability to juke is just so much better in this game. He's feeling a little bit now, and Sans has this pocket down the right-hand side that's been opened up to navigate through, so he's not stuck.
Chino is getting these supers. He's developed yet another head first here, and has been able to keep Response at bay for the time being. SSG are in no particular hurry here to make a gambit for the map, but Amantas of Meeple at land as well. Nothing better than that. We've got a slight technical issue here. We'll be back into the game in just a moment. We'll be under 30 seconds left in the round, so tune in. SSG lose the lead here as Revenant XSPARK are able to find the pick off on Sands, and now SSG have got to come forward and play the aggressor themselves.
Oh, almost got him there. Jay sends out a shot down the right-hand side, and Bobber just narrowly evades it and survives. Sam's coming down the right, needs to aggress. Vengeful Spirit's thrown out, and Sergeant will Rocket Rain the right-hand side to stop that aggression in its tracks. Revenant XSPARK answer well by getting the second game on the board.
It's a little dangerous for SSG. They're used to playing the aggressor because they have the ability to obviously pick up that blue star and then fall back. They could rather be defensive for much of the round. But when they lose that advantage, they need to have a pretty solid plan for going forward and actually, punishing someone like Sergeant for overextending. He's a little low in max HP. That's somewhere you can find edges against this Brock. So again, yeah, blue star for SSG, but perhaps they need to be a little bit more proactive here in the mid-game.
Yeah, well, it's a nice Meeple's Mansion to start things off, gets them the blue star pretty much guaranteed every time it plays correctly. Response this time playing the right-hand side, but Chino follows him over there as well. Fat Splatter straight onto Sergeant, still looking for the pinch regardless of being low. And can't quite get it just yet. Revenant being pushed back little by little, but Sans takes a few hits to the face and forced back into sport.
SSG, I think, are trying to put Sans in a position to get these engagements and try and use some of that high offensive impact that Otis boasts. So Sans got moved into mid there for a moment, to try and take on Sergeant. But Jay has been very, very hard to get purchased on. And Chino's just had to play this thrower mirror for most of the game so far. And at this distance, it's really easy to pick off that head first, and it's hard for Chino to actually convert it into map control, as Revenant XSPARK just see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, Response just throws a couple of shots at it. Sergeant will occasionally poke one over as well, but it should burn down just thanks to Response. Sans, Fat Splatter on the left-hand side, just trying to delay this a little bit longer. Doesn't want to get pushed back too soon. They've only got the one-star lead, so really nice stuff.
He's swapping back again.
Yeah. It's just swaps after swaps, and the Rocket Rain, I think, was interrupted by the Meeple's Mansion there. Sergeant's still not going down, but great shots there by Response, and they get one over the right-hand side, and that's going to flip it. SSG, as you say, being way too risky.
Yeah, Stan's getting frustrated, just not finding the matchups that he's looking for, and there just gets caught out as he saw a chance to go after Sergeant. Nice little fat splatter. This will take some map control back for SSG, but they need to convert it now. One star behind with 20 seconds left in the round. It's kind of now or never here for this bounty set. They've got to go. Sans wants to step up. Jay playing safely. Doesn't have a magic hand to work with, but there's a Rocket Rain that SSG can't afford to walk into. Now they're going to go. Chino pops the hypercharge just for the raw stats and needs to find Response, but he dives down, and Sans is too low to peek out. There's nothing to be found here for SSG, and they simply let the game walk away.
That was very close at the end. He came out right in the middle of all of those tick mines after diving down and just narrowly survived. clinging on to the win, and they just managed to take this set home. They've got so much, though, to be able to counteract these late aggressive pushes. We've had rocket fuels, rocket rains from Sergeant to delay people from coming down their lanes, and obviously, regardless of Willow's 74 DPS and 0 kills, that ability to just be able to control someone and move them out the way towards the later periods of the game is really solid, and also, as we've just seen, that dive into the ground as well evades a lot.
Yeah, I mean, for SSG, I think the Willow pick dissuades any form of hard engage, especially because they'd already mostly built their comp out of longer, mid to longer range brawlers. So if you have an individual like a Crow or just one of those dive brawlers, you're immediately shut down by the Willow. That forces SSG into a last pick Otis, who's great at mid-range and also pretty good at dealing with anyone who wants to run up on them, but outranged for most of the game by Sergeant. You saw what Sands had to do to try and find some kill potential there, and ended up exposing him to being picked off and giving Revenant XSPARK the star lead in that last round.
I mean, the thing is how much work I think it was Chino, right, on the tick had to do to be able to put SSG even in that game. The other two of them really couldn't engage much at all. I don't even know if I saw, a Bobby Super in an influential moment with the Meeple. They're the kind of things that you need to get to switch the game in those later phases, and I just didn't see them coming around enough. It was just tick head after tick head. Great control from Chino, but the other two brawlers on the map were nowhere to be seen.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, Chino was trying to look for a favorable matchup, trying to look for a way to bully on the map, but Response was constantly matching him, just with switching into the thrower matchup whenever possible. Then for Sands and Bobby, they don't really get favorable engagements either. They're trying to beat a Brock as Meeple or Otis in mid, especially with the map broken up. Brock is always going to be dominant in that kind of situation.
Solid star drop there as well. That's on the electric side. Nice little
very good
Otis. Oh, I love it. That's what I use, I think, as well. But obviously, more importantly, Revenant XSPARK take the lead against SSG. This is a big game for both of these teams to stay alive in this competition. SSG took an unfortunate loss to Novo, but Revenant got absolutely wiped off the earth by SK Gaming to be coming to this point. So they have a lot to prove after coming through the last chance qualifier. SSG have a lot to prove considering they got that seeding buff and managed to get to Worlds because of it.
In Hot Zone, these two teams actually try and force pretty similar comps. They're always trying to fight for like Juju on those bushier maps. They also like to play more of that B, and we know just how powerful Pam is right now. We see a lot of her in Gem Grab, and in Dueling Beetles, she can set up a healing turret behind the indestructible wall just to give you a small slice of healing while standing on the point. So that's going to be pretty powerful. Expect her to be pretty hotly contested. Finks taken away, obviously, kind of the go-to in a lot of these Hot Zone games. And there it is, Juju already snapped up.
Absolutely. Lovely bands across the way as well. Seen a lot of Gale kind of slotting in a few maps here and there at the World Finals. So Juju, I like it. The hypercharge that she's been provided with is really, really solid. Buff to pretty much all stats of the Grigri. Pair that with the slow or the shield that comes along with it. Really.
Big seven.
Yeah, I was just going to ignore it. Of course, the very mature guy over here has to touch on it, doesn't he, and bang it out. So yeah, you should have seen him. Like, he actually did the hand move.
It's like a hair trick, right? I can't resist. So M's available. Also, Lumi, an option here to be brought in. Hank, obviously very powerful on this map, had to be banned out pretty early, and Meeple taken away. So a lot of the go-tos here on a Hot Zone have already been met with bans. There's a ton of other options. We've seen Crow used fairly extensively on this map. Mina was very quickly banned away. Don't expect to see too much of her on this map. You want to throw her, Ziggy's always an option for you, but yeah, here's the Pam we discussed earlier. I think just far too effective, and I'm surprised it actually goes so late in the draft.
Well, there's a few notable names in the crowd, Reyna and OJ as well. Obviously a huge thing for them to be here as well, supporting Tribe for sure, I'd imagine. So nice to see them in the crowd, but as you say, Pam really solid. The hypercharge recently introduced has kind of catapulted her back into the meta. Not incredible, like it's not like one of the best brawlers in the game, but definitely up there in contention on a few maps now, and especially when you're looking at the control-based modes like Hot Zone.
Okay, Lou here, bit of a classic. Something about Hot Zone is that it really lines up quite well, of course, with that area. Yeah, let's get some showdown games in. This is probably the only time we're going to get to see Mina this weekend, everybody. So soak it up.
Unfortunately, for the Lou, solid pick as well. A lot of kind of mid coverage there as well with the ice rink on it.
Carl fans. Might be feeling that that's a decent option. I think Heat Ejector's amazing just to zone on this map and to force teams to stay inside their bushes in their beetles, so to speak. And obviously when it comes to that hypercharge super, you have pretty good all-in potential. Otis instead going to be the option for SSG. Sands couldn't really find a niche to succeed in. And has to go up against the Brock again. So I think it's pretty clear where Revenant XSPARK's bread is buttered.
Absolutely. And two very solid compositions here for Hot Zone in general, Dueling Beetles. I really do like the Juju pick, but with Response bringing in this Brock, how much of that grass that kind of usually looms in the mid is going to remain? Yeah. Probably not a lot of it, and probably not a lot of walls either. So the Juju, unless she's able to cycle super after super, she's going to have a bit of a tough time, I think, here.
Whereas SSG do not really have any wall break potential. This is very good for the Pam, for example, who can set that turret up pretty safely. So another strong draft here for Revenant XSPARK. Can SSG style on them? Can they show some level of skill expression here with some of these, high ceiling brawlers in the Juju and the Otis? Bobby, of course, with that gadget gets a moment of invisibility. Tries to step forward. Sergeant is pretty unbothered.
Yeah, it was really nice awareness from X9J there as well to be able to just throw that Pam shot into the middle, expecting that invisibility to be there. And it just pushed Bobby all the way back straight away. He's got great control if that wasn't the case. And Sans taking hit after hit here. Bobby coming forward with the invisibility again. Attempt number 2, and this time it works.
Bro just unloaded every one of those shots. And it's just as well because they've been able to clear Revenant XSPARK off the point for now. And with Grigory in play, Sergeant does have to respect the Voodoo Dolls to a degree. But SSG have been able to get themselves back in the lead, and Sans is looking for an opportunity to charge that super. But Response can, well, disrespect some of these shots to a degree and try and pinch onto Bobby, who is going to be dug out and has no bushes to work with. Like you alluded to earlier, Trav, there's no way for Juju to get that range increase and be relevant on the point at the same time.
And even less, no bush remains on her side at all now, not even back in the spawn, as Sergeant throws out that hypercharged rocket rain on top of it. And Sans taking some hits to the face from the Brock as well, not having a fun time. Percentage-wise, it's still pretty close, but you've got to question how long SSG are going to be able to hold on unless Chino and Sans start doing something down those lanes.
You see that Juju gadget's quite effective for Bobby when there were bushes that allowed him to have that window of invisibility to actually try and assassinate. Now it gives him some shield, so extra durability. But whichever way you slice it, it's really hard for Juju to find any success on this map. The wall break for Sergeant was such a great call. They've got the Amber as well. So deforestation, definitely top of the list of priorities here for Revenant XSPARK, and Bobby is just going to get nuked. He's got nothing to do trying to come forward there. I hate to say it, but Revenant XSPARK kind of roll SSG in the drafts.
I mean, like, the Pam turret was there since it got put down to since she put another one down. It's just non-stop. There's nothing they can do to deal with it. Bobby couldn't get through the mid, no grass. The lanes were losing as well. And SSG is slipping away from them so fast. Really disappointing draft from them. And I'm sure Revenant XSPARK are just laughing.
It's like, no kill pressure, no wall break, no maidens for SSG. Like, it is struggle city out there for them. And the fact that that Pam turret gets to get put on the forward side of the wall and still not destroyed is a little bit concerning. So SSG again need to assert themselves. It's a fat splatter to zone Sergeant away in the mid early.
Well, a lane swap is probably what was needed, I think, after that last one. What can go more wrong? Not a lot, I don't think. So why not try something a little bit different? Sergeant there, just shooting down in this mid onto Bobby. Going to be breaking that grass up once more, and another rocket rain will surely be following soon on that last remaining wall.
These gadgets from Chino, pretty clutch. Oh dear, Sergeant definitely has to respect the Otis, but eventually can step up and start that capture. It's tricky. I think you really need to be cycling these supers as the Lou and find an impactful or hypercharge that catches 1 to 2 players. Until such time, it feels like you take a little bit of a back seat in some of these rounds. Sans is trying to connect these shots, but obviously they don't do a ton of damage. It's really all about trying to, get these freezes on people like Sergeant. This is nice from Sans. I do like that he's asserting himself here. Throws that super down for zoning, allows SSG to have a slim lead.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's had more supers in this game than he had in the entirety of the previous one. So swap definitely working for SSG as they take the percentage lead as well. But now, Revenant starting to push back. Pam turret being placed down should be out of reach from the majority of those SSG players unless Fat Splatter gets placed onto it. And Sergeant rocket rain onto that right-hand side. Bobby coming back through mid, Grigri available. But going to take so many shots to bring this Pam turret down.
No, look, I think this really favors SSG having the map broken up to such a degree. Bobby's been really impactful, even though we can't operate at maximum range, as Juju would like to. Now, though, you start to see them having to take a bit of a back seat. Bobby ducks into the bushes to get an invisibility buff, and we'll have access to that because there's a little bit of bush cover left. Response gets nuked down. Chino's able to hit the mute button, and Sergeant now is missing some crucial shots, allowing for Chino to pick off the Pam and get out scot-free.
That was lovely from Chino, I must say. He's doing a lot of work for SSG so far. Hypercharge comes down, can't find the connection onto Bobby, but will push him all the way back up into that top bush and give them a chance at keeping this now. They know he's invisible because those bushes just got broken by the super of Sergeant. And a rocket fuel to the right-hand side from the Brock keeps them in the lead. With only 50 seconds on the clock, they need a push onto the zone.
Sergeant pops the hyper here. Raw stat boost, of course, aiding him. It's the 20% speed increase he's probably looking for now. Fat Splatter's going to clear out the Pam turret, but X9J has a hypercharge and throws it down. The shield goes a long way. The Revenant XSPARK need to get themselves onto the hot zone as Bobby taking out Chino with a super. Jay just soaks it up and says, please, sir, may I have another? Revenant XSPARK are comfortable here on the hot zone. Chino's going to pop the hypercharge, but he ain't fooling anybody. Sergeant's happy to fight him. Fat Splatter forces him back into the hypercharge healing turret, but Revenant XSPARK are now at 88% and counting. Response conduct back onto the point. Sergeant sends a gadget shot over in Chino's direction, and SSG falls short in a second consecutive set.
I've got to point out, I'm feeling for Chino, man. He's doing so much. He's doing a lot of work for SSG in both the first set and this one, and it seems like he's got no support. And, you know, I'm not saying that's the players directly, but the draft, the brawlers that he's playing must be incredible, and he's playing well on top of that as well. I do feel for him because he's doing a lot of work against Revenant here and not getting much return.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the Fat Splatter liberal usage of that gadget helped Chino a lot in the early round to get that space. That's what allows Sands to play forward and maybe find some more of these connections. But Sands is playing the loop very safely, arbitrarily throwing super down on the point, just saying, no, we're going to make sure we have this slim lead. We can stay ahead by 5 to 7%, keep that going. The problem with that game plan is if the dam ever breaks, if you ever lose full map control, Revenant XSPARK get to push right on up, abuse that amber, take all your bushes out, and turn your Juju into a Walmart thrower.
I mean, it's really rough for SSG now. It looks like heads are kind of dropping over that side of the stage as well, and Revenant standing tall, 2 sets to 0. SSG requiring a full reverse sweep, and going off what they've been doing today, it's just not looking likely in my eyes. Obviously, these guys have got a lot to prove, you know, the fact that they even, you know, deserve to be here, considering they should have gone to the LCQ and faced teams like Revenant who are playing incredible.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of get to skip that whole part of the competition, which is something they weren't expecting. And I think it's pretty telling seeing Bobby tweet after their loss to Novo Esports earlier. He says, I kind of had a feeling we were going to run into a situation like this. We just need to hang on.
Yeah.
Like, that's not optimistic.
It's rough words saying we need to hang on throughout the group. You want to be going into that one feeling like you're going to decimate Revenant. You know, heads held high. You might have lost, but you've still got a chance to continue your World Finals run. And yeah, those kind of, you know, tweets where it seems like the heads are going down even just after one series, it's really difficult to come back from, especially when you expect Revenant, you know, to still have smiles on their faces. They might have been battered by SK Gaming, but they've come back strong and comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that love that underdog, you know, moniker being applied to them. They're hungry, they're up and coming. Whereas SSG have seen some of the greatest heights of Brawlstars and have really struggled to gain a foothold as like a household name at the top tier of competition so far. This is their last grasp of glory, their last chance to leave an impact on the Brawl world, maybe for good. Who knows what's in store for this team, but they really have to make something happen here on New Horizons.
Well, should be getting into the draft pretty soon, and yeah, as you can see on screen, got the kind of long range. A lot can be played here. So many different brawlers can be selected. You know, you're looking at, you can play the range, you can play short range, aggressive, throwers, literally any type of brawler can be played. So we'll see what the bans are when they come in. Brock, I mean, no surprise there. Brock's been banned out after Sergeant's performance on it in the last 2 sets. Gray, along with the Jae Young, banned out as well. Pearl, Mina, and Jean over the other side also going to be banned out from Revenant XSPARK. And just to reiterate again, no surprise that Brock's banned out.
Yeah, I mean, has been very, very good. That's a whole ban slot that SSG have been able to dedicate. That means Ollie's open. Yeah, Ollie, you can bring the Gus in here as well. That has not been banned. I think it's worth mentioning that you can make throwers work on this map as well, right? Juju is a pretty reasonable option. Very, very good with Gregory active to take that map control. And it's pretty hard to clear these bushes, especially without Brock in the picture, right? Your wall break options are a little bit more limited. I think the Pearl ban here from Revenant is super heads up. Obviously, a late round monster. If you try and set up like this sort of, like this Buster Pearl, like late round, you make the Gambit, the all-in comp is very powerful. So that's sort of been taken off the table. We've seen Max brought out on this map a fair bit. Squeak's obviously an awesome option. You have that wind-up gadget to give you basically sharpshooter level range in a pinch. Yeah. Or residue to slow people down. Feel like the former, though, is a more likely direction you're going to go in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Pearl, I think it's a great shout to be banned out. You know, you're looking at being able to dominate tanks throughout the entire duration of the game, whether you're kind of long distance or short range at the end. As you mentioned, the Max is going to come in then, and I think that's a pretty solid one overall. I was kind of a little bit questioning it just because we saw it being played in Knockout earlier, and it was really not good at all. Just hung out to dry, couldn't do a lot at all. I believe it was Humble who kind of championed it. So I was questioning it a little bit, but I'm more than happy to see these brawlers come in. You know, you can still pair it with a Buster or something like that and run it down.
Yeah, I want the Gust here, maybe, alongside the Ollie. The Ollie Squeak combo has been kind of broken up here by Jay with that pick here. Being able to land residue and then have Ollie dive on in makes it really, really difficult to avoid just being caught inside that hypnosis and blowing up. I do like the Bell. Obviously, it's going to punish the style of playing closely around the max. You don't want to group up against that brawler, and you know, you can make use of, I think, what reverse polarity it is, obviously, to find that bouncing shot, or you just cover the map in nest eggs, as these rounds on New Horizons tend to run quite long, so you can set up like a literal minefield on your side of the map and just make it really, you know, punishing to try and move up and hard engage.
King of the nerds.
And Meeple's going to come in. Honestly, solid, really solid place to bring it in. When you look at how wally the middle of this map is, both the left lane, the right lane, behind walls. So being able to shoot through them, the entire team, and walk through them, the entire team, with the hypercharge can be a really, really good thing to have in those kind of pressing situations at the end. So we'll see if it comes down to that. Meeple, I think, is a really good pick, and they've obviously had faith in it through their past drafts as well, so comfortable on that brawler. But we're back over to Revenant XSPARK for their final pick. You've got to question what they're going to pair with this max. It's surely got to be something aggressive, but they're actually going to go for the thrower. You mentioned at the start, Juju, one of those things. Down the left, down the right, there's bush, and even in spawn, there's bush as well. So extending that range and getting the damage down can be really solid from afar.
And you just have pressure now all throughout the round when you have this in Juju. And if you ever get map control, if you ever get mid, your opponents are in deep trouble. Like, there's really nowhere to run, and I feel like involving a thrower here puts your opponents on a clock. It says to SSG, you cannot give up so much map control that you get forced into a corner. If you do, it is going to be so easy for us just to blow you up, or just to cycle these Juju supers and always have a virtual fourth brawler.
We'll probably get a hit already. I mean, that Meeple's Mansion is something. It breaks up a little bit of grass there, but not a lot at all. And the more influential patches of grass are still there.
Yeah, it does have the effect of breaking terrain that it crosses, but it's really hard. You actually have to land on someone on the other side of that wall, the left side of the wall, to break up the grass behind it. So it's not reliable at all. Sansi taking a bit of damage. Another Mansion's used. Sergeant says, oh, okay, I'm pretty cozy here. I'm going to continue just throwing shots at you across the map and forcing you to do something about it.
Well, luckily enough, we should be in a bit of a lull of action at the moment, I'm sure, as this knockout not starting too fast. Should be looking to just charge up some supers left to right and play it slow. A few shots being connected here and there, but nothing too much, it seems. I'm seeing the gameplay, so I'll commentate it for you. Juju is going to throw down some shots. Jay trying to get the damage done. Wonderful squeak super in there as well. And some great shots overall. Sergeant low, but you're going to see Sans just retreat into that gas. Real nice stuff from that. Overall, solid stuff from Revenant.
So from the portion of the round that we actually saw, you could see what I mean about a clock. SSG end up being fought into a corner as the gas comes in. It's really easy for Sergeant to punish them now as they try and take any space in the map. I need to see SSG be proactive. I do not want to watch them sit in the backseat as this match gets snatched away from them. Bobby's going to go over the top here. Good catch on response. That's a great combo with the Mansions of Meeple. And there's Tino to capitalize. Signs of life here from SSG as Sergeant will simply have to bide his time and make a swift exit.
I mean, these are the signs of life we need to be seeing, to be honest with you. Sans now has a super for next round, shouldn't be using it.
Bobby cycled super as well.
Bobby's got his super as well. And, you know, I'm not going to say he was lucky to not go down, but he was on 440 HP.
It was low.
So there was a few max shots coming towards him. So really good engagement from him, well managed and solid stuff from SSG in this second round of knockout here. Sergeant's just going to retreat into the gas. He can't earn anything else, and he's just putting himself or his teammates at risk going into the next round of feeding Chino.
Yeah, we need SSG to be proactive, just as they were in this round. Instead of just throwing out a Mansions of Meeple and hoping, I don't know, break some map up, we need to see them make use of it. They're going to walk into the next round with that Ollie super, so they need to apply it effectively.
Well, Greery Hypercharge was already placed down and it's troopered all the way up the map and been taken out. Meeple's Mansion placed now as well. And Bobby going
That's it.
onto Sergeant, popping the super, the gadget in there as well. Can they get the trade? Sergeant hasn't even gone down. And Jay taking what a reverse polarity that is from Chino, though. Great takedown to even the score and make it 2-2.
They're to break through the Juju gadget, but more importantly, to take Juju off the map is crucial. Now Revenant XSPARK don't quite have their timer aspect anymore. SSG can actually step out into the middle of the map with a little bit more confidence and look to find these catches with these Mansions of Meeple. but there aren't any elements that allow them to capitalize on that catch. Sands here going to throw down that hypercharge super. Perfect location for it. He's hitting very, very hard, and Jay knows that this round is pretty much done. Chino can start to threaten him here with reverse polarity bounces behind those walls. Jay has to go for it. Caught inside the mansion, so he will suffocate.
It's going to be tough for him to win this one. Phase shift, I'm not sure if it's available, and he doesn't have it just yet. Might have been able to have a chance to be, got his hypercharge, got his super, got his phase shift as well, but nothing lined up for him there, and kind of accepted defeat a little bit towards the end. SSG with a much better showing in that one, though. The last 2 rounds, really solid from them.
Determined to be active participants in this game and take charge of their destiny. Love to see Bobby looking proactive, coming forward with that gadget, landing a hypnotize. Need to see a little bit more of that. The Revenant are going to be looking to punish those moments of aggression. Good catch, though. This is going to allow Bobby to get up close and have his pick of the leader with a potential gadget shot. No connection. He will play towards the bottom of the map now as Sergeant looks to try and harass Sands away, playing inside the bushes, having pretty egregious range as a thrower, forcing Sands back into the map.
Well, Jay, just on the right side, trying to work for his super, and Meeple's mansion to be placed down again, but it's fine to throw them out because you get them back pretty quick, but at the same time, it's doing nothing at that point, rather than just, he's not pushing towards you really at that kind of situation anyway. Jay has super now in the mid. Bobby got to be working for his soon, or he's going to be in a bit of a tough situation towards the end. Speed provided, and Bobby so low here. Super veiled from response, and now Sergeant can pinch all the way back, but they choose to wait and fight another time. Bobby trying to get the hypnotize here. Sergeant should be affected by it. Good jump in, but that should be traded pretty quickly. And Jay gets the kill. Speed used as well. And the slows onto Sands. Can he get the kill here? It's close. X9J versus Chino. And Chino's low, needs the super, but can't get it yet. The peaks aren't working for him. And Jay juking well. Brilliant stuff from Revenant to win that one.
Not even the positive feedback going to be enough to keep the bell in the game, but that's not a situation in which the sharpshooter is favored anyway. Sick mechanics from response there at the bottom of the map, able to dodge out and at least secure a 1-for-1 exchange with Sands. Nice mechanics on display here from Revenant XSPARK. The upstarts, the young guns here to herald a changing of the guard, so to speak. Now, they're going to sit on some pretty key abilities. Jay has hypercharged super. That is going to be crucial. Sergeant here, sitting pretty inside this now as Bobby's going to have to jump over the top, and that's a big hypnotize! But can they punish it? No! Bobby flattens them! Perfectly done. Great execute of that combo. Response is trying to head for the kills, but will be chased down by the Ollie.
Well, just one more round needed for SSG to get well and truly back in this series. But Revenant XSPARK can possibly shut that short over the next 2. Hypercharge on the right-hand side here for Sergeant as well, and Bobby got one of his own going in now. Response might need to try and super this one and get the refrag. Don't know if he'll be able to get the kill straight up. He cycled super well, and Sergeant can't make use of anything here. Bobby supers out as X9J flanking, and it's still a 2v1.
Gotta be a tough one to win for X9J, and he knows it. This is the set, though, that hangs in the balance. SSG hanging on by their fingertips, and Jay's marked up. Simply face shifts forward and accepts his fate. Finally, a mark made for SSG on the series, getting themselves their first set.
Much better from SSG there, and some great plays from Bobby on the Ollie to secure those kills. Not only is he securing kills, he's kind of sacrificing himself for certain situations for his teammates to be in the 2v1. He'll get one, he'll kind of commit for the next and have a bit of help from his teammate in multiple situations there. And yet again, Chino, 7 kills, 102, so the least DPS, but I think that's kind of expected from a Bell.
Yeah, that's sort of fine. I think he'll take what he can get in a lot of those scenarios, and he's completing those eliminations. He's getting those final hits. Right, so you see Revenant XSPARK, they break up the Squeak and Ollie combo, but there's still the Meeple and Ollie mashup that you have to deal with. And as soon as Sands hits a proper Mansions of Meeple, one that Bobby has a gadget available to use, it's deterministic. It's impossible for him to miss that combo. And in that last round, being able to hypnotize 2 players out, that is perfect stuff from SSG. It's a simple game plan that after a shaky first round, they execute to perfection.
It's just absolutely what they need. They need a bit of confidence back on their sides, and I think playing like that will put some confidence and some wind back in their sails. Really nice stuff, and you see there, like X9J just accepts defeat. He knows as soon as he gets marked in that situation, he's not winning a 1v2. It'd have been a 90-10 anyway, even if not, possibly more without that mark. So real nice stuff, and a fellow caster in the crowd, ready, set, cheering on the North Americans. No surprise there with Chino on his back.
I think he's got one of every jersey at this point.
He actually has. He actually has.
Yeah, he's gone around the world in the closet, but of course, great to see him out there in the crowd. They're trying to catch up with him, and of course, he's getting behind his NA boys, which is a region that's been maligned a little bit globally. I think expectations for NA have been pretty low, especially after a pretty lackluster showing on home soil in Dallas. At least SSG have themselves a set. They were able to get one against Novo, and that's where things went wrong for them. And it looked like it was less celebration and more relief on their faces, realizing they bought themselves a lifeline. Now, they need to look for a reverse sweep.
Well, it's Death Cap Trap on Gem Grab that might be the last for SSG, or they'll continue to mount this comeback against Revenant XSPARK and take it to the 5th and final set. Big decisive set, this one, to keep themselves in it. So need a good draft, just as in the last one. And Revenant, you know, they need to bounce back from that loss and get momentum back on their side.
One of SSG's best maps here is Death Cap Trap, over a 60% win rate for them. Comps that they often look for, getting the roughs, you know, and getting the Otis. So one of those obviously being taken away, but SSG can work a lot with like Max. They also like to go for Sandy when this kind of map went available. And yes, Kit is a usual suspect. Something we've seen a lot from SSG over the course of the year. A hypercharge that allows Kit in Super to go about his business and actually cycle that quite effectively. So keep an eye out for Kit making use of these bushes to close the gap, and it's a bit of a Bobby special.
Absolutely. I mean, the cardboard box is really solid as well. Just being able to go invis for a short period of time, get towards those opponents, surprise them even more by, you know, jumping out of bushes where they don't expect you. So really solid first pick. Can do it on his own, can do it on the back of a teammate as well. Provide those heals as the support brawler that I guess he's kind of supposed to be, but been doing a lot more on his own recently. Max Sandy coming on. Oh, this is a throwback and a half, this one. Listen, I love it. I love it. It's surprising, especially after that last set with Max, and also all the other Max we've been seeing today, but I'm more than welcoming it.
I mean, on this map, this brawler duo has really made a comeback. These two are also SSG's third most played brawlers, like tied for third on this map. So this is Revenant also having done the research and sort of picking into the wheelhouse a little bit more of SSG. Now, there's a couple of options still. You want to think about how you address the gem carrier. Lily still on the table, Gus still on the table. But going back to the well and picking up Otis here for SSG is not a huge surprise. Sans hoping to be able to do what Chino did on that hot zone map and really cause some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really like this pick. Otis really solid, especially when you're expecting Revenant to keep this kind of aggressive stance up with what they've picked so far, the Max and Sandy. Having something that can deal with a tank or something a bit more aggressive in the Otis will be a really solid thing for them. So I think that's a great shout. Still, either they're going to play this Otis in the mid and just, you know, rip it against the Max, or they're going to pick one now.
I do want to see like some form of aggression here, some form of dive on gem carry. No, it's going to be the Gus picked up. So this is certainly an SSG coded draft for sure. In fact, both sides.
They've got the gem carrier dive, to be fair, in the kit.
Yep.
It's just going to need a bit of assistance when he does, unless it's hypercharged. So really, you know, solid draft for SSG. You're usually kind of going for Gus as a gem carrier anyway, so they're going to be pretty pleased that they've managed to get that as the last pick, and then Hank for the last one of Revenant XSPARK. As I said, they needed something aggressive. The Otis can still shut you down quite hard at range, but if a max speed with a hypercharge comes in, Hank's going to be dangerous for SSG.
I mean, Revenant XSPARK have to play aggressively, right? Sandy's a very short-range brawler with great stopping power in that, in that gadget stun. And Max obviously wants to try and move forward across the map. Revenant XSPARK investing heavily in map control, allowing them to get into SSG's bushes. And the North American squad with a similar setup, but they have a decent mid-range setup now with that Otis being brought into the mix as well as Gus. Also good protection for Bobby should he want to go aggressive on that kit. I think they've sniffed out that feline menace as Bobby takes a massive bubble from response and has to back up early.
Jump comes in, X9J just going to pop his speed and try and refract some of these shots. Didn't actually provide it to Sergeant there, but he'll end up getting the kills anyway and put himself in a 1v1 against Chino. Goes for that gem as well and has a hypercharge in about 20 seconds.
Jay realized that the Cookie Popper was actually just used, so there was no risk of running into that extra burst damage from the Gus. So happy to get in his face and actually take a bit of an engagement. This puts Revenant XSPARK up to 5 gems here, and Bobby is circling around. He's looking for Jay. Instead, he'll settle for Sergeant. Pops that Sandy, takes him out of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice invis there down the side of that Sandy super, which I'm sure is using Roost Sands to keep people low and scout them out in the bushes. Sergeant's just going to go in. I think he knows he's going to die in that situation, but he just needs another Sandy super to establish this control back in the hands of Revenant Esports. It's 6-3. They've got some time to burn. Gem picked up off their side, but they know they're still in control.
And that's more than good enough. Bobby taking those plays, taking the Sandy out of the game. Hypercharged Fish Torpedoes comes out, and that, heat-seeking mode doesn't really punish SSG too much. Sands now fighting inside the Rude Sands. He'll have to step on out as Jay still has 7 gems to his name, and Sands can't heal inside that field, so he's in a dangerous spot. Response here is going to pop those fish torpedoes, looking to go 2 for 1 here, but it's a tough fight to win, and he'll deliver a gem to Chino, who has to pop super in order to have the safety to pick it up.
That's 9 gems for X9J. Sergeant in the back as well. Should only be 1 or 2 shots off his super and gets it there. Hypercharge ready to roll, and that's going to mute them out for a second as well. Response gets that last gem, but should be refract. Bobby not going to go too aggressive, going to come back on Sergeant. He's going to die regardless, and X9J should be able to get this gem. And Chino in the bottom right, unable to do anything.
Now he's got a shield, but it's not going to be enough. Response bursts his bubble, and now SSG really have nothing to hang their hat on. Looking for a way to get at X9J, but there is too much standing in their way. Sergeant, of course, is having to give up his life in the middle of the map, as 10 gems on the max means GG.
I mean, that was very much dominance there from the side of Revenant XSPARK. Really, really nice stuff. They just kind of had Sandy Super after Sandy Super exactly when they needed it to retake. Got in spots that they shouldn't be getting in. And SSG need to be a little bit more cautious about that. I don't think we even saw Kit want go for the gem carrier and try and flip the game. It was always on the side lanes, and nothing came of it.
Once again, SSG are hanging on the precipice of elimination here at a 2025 World Finals. Good early damage for Bobby. Thought to maybe use super to avoid the bubble. Instead, just takes a chunk of damage, but does account at least for response. Now, though, the net is starting to close. Bobby feels some pressure, but Chino punishes Jay, forces him out of the map to allow Chino to get his 2nd gem to hand. Response will be dueling against Sands here. Bobby needs to be careful, of course, of that max pressure.
Yeah, gotta be cautious. X9J obviously was quite low, but Bobby, a short-range brawler, I should say, shouldn't have been able to get within range of him unless he got his little jump in there somewhere. Sergeant was round the back as well, so might be able to find some super, and actually does here as well. Sands pinned in the same position as the last game, by the way, around the back of that Sandy super. And Chino so low. Gems are 7-2, and SSG look like they're on their way out.
And the Sandy is just so good against the kid, it's impossible for Bobby to use invisibility to close the gap on this map. Chino, though, does have hypercharge, so there's a great layer of protection. The knockback as well against the Sandy or Max could be valuable. But Bobby needs to try and stay hidden for the time being. It's going to be a tough ask, though. Still 2 minutes of gameplay, but Revenant XSPARK are getting awfully close to that 10-gem threshold.
Well, yeah, Chino, hypercharge in hand as well, which can definitely turn some of the game. Great view of this here as well. The hypercharge max coming in. That's going to be used, and it is 7-7 in terms of gems. Sergeant is going to get absolutely beamed there by Chino, and the hypercharge comes in. Response trying to get some work done here on the Hank as well, but an invis Bobby pops out of nowhere.
Good dive!
The gem carrier, and there you go. That's what we've been asking for, but he's not getting out, but 1 gem still starts to count.
Yeah, this is going to slow things down now. Revenant XSPARK need to go on the offensive. Hypercharge Sandstorm being used. Sergeant's having to play pretty far forward. All eyes on the gem carrier for SSG, of course. They need to deal with Chino somehow. Sands goes deep. It's now 9-9. Chino's going to step forward, but it spawns on Revenant XSPARK's side of the map. And now things starting to get a little bit dangerous. Response comes back off respawn. Fish torpedoes ready. Sergeant dove on by Bobby, and he pops him like a bubble. Response going to be muted. Forced out of the fight here. 4 gems in favor of SSG, and they're now heading for the hills. Bobby gets in the way, brings Response down, and SSG are far from done. They have no plans of just riding off into the sunset here. Bobby dies, Jay is down, and SSG aren't done yet.
Great comeback in a real tough situation for SSG there. They managed to hold on. It looked like they were kind of in a comfortable position. All the gems on the floor, back in spawn, no risks to be had. And then the countdown started for Revenant, and SSG have eventually managed to get something done, bring the gems back to their side. And, you know, Bobby, the one time he goes onto the gem carrier, it seems to work.
Now, SSG reminding Revenant XSPARK, if you want to topple these titans of yesteryear, you're going to have to work for it. Sergeant flattened there, got crossfired by Chino and Sands. Jay's down well to pick up these 2 gems, and Response has opened up the map here towards the top side, so we're split now, left to right.
Yeah, Chino and Sands going to pick up a kill there as well. Bobby went in on Response, and this is looking good for SSG. Full control, and Bobby with another super in hand. Jay back in spawn, and looking to get the help of his teammates, but wants to get Sands out of here a Response, and then they can establish something.
Bobby, though, cycling these supers really effectively. Still respects Sergeant's stopping power in terms of that gadget. Looking for a juicier target, likely Jay. No, Sergeant is going to be what he settles on, and Chino, of course, has a super to make it impossible to trade onto this kit.
final super there for Jay, and now they need to jump out of spawn. Bobby went invis there for a second. You're going to jump on top of one of them, but he's not going to go down just yet. Just about gets those torpedoes off and heals. And Chino has the super, so not too far at risk at the moment, and with Sands in the back, even if they get these gems down, it's going to be hard to retreat.
Tough for Bobby to re-establish this map control, though. He just got killed again off spawn. This forces Chino right towards the back, but he's sitting at 8 stars. That's plenty to work with now. Hypercharged fish torpedoes for response, though. He's nice and healthy. Sands again is going to be caught out. Revenant XSPARK, though, haven't found their way towards Chino, but they've gotten enough map control to start to build their own bank of gems.
Yeah, I mean, Sargent making his way through here as well. I think Bobby just about got hypercharged with that final shot he got before going down. But Sargent shouldn't be too far off the super, which will put them back in control again. There's the hypercharge for Sands. He gets the kill. Hypercharge back in turn for Jay, and that provides a super up top to Sargent. But here comes
good dive
jump from Bobby. He gets it and gives SSG a lifeline.
Sargent, though, has a chance to bring him down. It's a lot of gems going back into the hands of Revenant XSPARK, but Chino's the problem. He's the protagonist. He's holding 9 gems at the moment, and Bobby's coming back in with a vengeance. Can't quite get to grips with Sargent and can't quite build that super yet. Another push here for Revenant XSPARK, but Jay gets blown to smithereens. Shot from Sands are good. Now Eyes looking over towards Chino at 9 gems, and Bobby stunned up, walks into a bubble. Countdown here for Revenant XSPARK, and Chino finally has to get into the game. He's been holding 9 gems, playing safe, but now is not the time to play safe. You've got to reach for glory. Revenant XSPARK retreating to their side of the map. They know it's now or never for SSG. Stand and deliver as the old guard of North America are vanquished. A disappointing end to this era for SSG, but Revenant XSPARK continue to show the world who they are on the stage that truly matters.
Just relief coming out of Revenant XSPARK, exhaling. They managed to get their victory, but such disappointment for SSG. We've said so many times, the old guard of North America, and unfortunately through day 1 of World Finals haven't managed to get a win on the board. They go down in 2-3-1s.
Of course, a lot of people will be called to question the future of this squad. Household names in Brawlstars: Bobby, OG, Sands, Chino. Who knows what's next for these guys, but for now it is elimination from our World Finals as Revenant X